Hello, and welcome to Comp One. I am excited to take this journey with you. Comp One is a lot of fun, at least my class is, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. We're going to today go over some things that are essential for you to know. And the best way to do that is for me just to go ahead and take us into the PowerPoint presentation. So I'm the PowerPoint queen, and you will figure that out. There will be one just about every single week. It is a very important thing for me that my students are never bored. And so I have poured a lot of effort into creating PowerPoints that are entertaining and yet educational. And so you will have those every week, most every week. There will be some weeks like peer review week where that's not going to be a thing, but most every week you're going to have one of these PowerPoint presentations. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. I'm going to do a share screen and open this one up to get us started. I have to go in and click. What I'm doing right now is on the weeks when there isn't a video lecture uploaded, you can click slideshow. When you open up the PowerPoint presentation, you click slideshow right here from the beginning is what you want to click. And it takes you to the opening of the PowerPoint. And if you don't do it this way, you miss out some of the fun. There are gifts throughout them that I painstakingly take time to pick out for you. Sometimes I get so distracted making PowerPoints that I find myself giggling and not realizing that I'm actually working. And perhaps that I need to be concentrating just a little bit more than what I'm, enjoying. But it's all fine. It's all fine. So each PowerPoint will have a Stephen King quote to start us off. The entire semester is going to be centered around Stephen King. If you've already read through the syllabus, you've gotten that idea. And I hope the mention of his name does not scare or freak any one of you out. If it does, please bear with me. Hopefully by the end of today's talk, you will be like, Stephen King, no big deal. So I'm going to explain things to you and why we are using Stephen King as our baseline for the semester. I have chosen him very specifically. And so there are reasons for the madness always when it comes to me and how I teach classes. So this is a Stephen King quote. It says, "The scariest moment is always just before you start." Now, he is, of course, referencing writing. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Is it shocking to you that the master storyteller knows how you feel? You ever pondered the thought or sat back and thought about the fact that Stephen King might find it scary to sit down and start writing? The scariest moment is always just before you start. That is a very human emotion. Now, there are some people, like Stephen King and myself, who can push themselves past that moment of fear and jump into the work that needs to be done. That's the difference. And so we're going to hopefully get ourselves to a place in this semester as we study Stephen King, where you're going to find it easier to push yourself past that scary moment to getting the work done. So with that being said, let's move on to the next screen. I think it's imperative for any class, any student, to know something about who I am and why you can trust me to teach your class before we get started. So I always like to begin with a little bit of information about what I bring to the table and why you can trust me to be your professor. So I do hold a master's degree of fine arts and creative writing. And let me tell you, that educational journey was nothing short of just a fantastic vacation for my brain. It was the most fun to just concentrate on writing for months on end, 2 years, writing and workshopping and peer review. And it was heaven, absolutely heaven. Because I have a master's in writing, that makes me very different from many of the other Comp 1 teachers. Let me explain what that means. The majority of Comp 1 instructors at a college level have English degrees, not writing degrees. It's a very big difference. Now, between my bachelor's, I have 2 bachelor's, you see those there, and my master's, I have over 95 credits in English classes. So I'm highly qualified to teach Comp 1, Comp 2, and the creative writing courses that I teach. But I also come at these things from a very different perspective. See, I've got a little bit of that information on here. One thing that you need to know about me is I am a former business owner. And actually, my husband and I just are in the process of starting a new company. So that's very exciting. But my former husband and I, that man I was once married to previously, he and I had a lawn care, landscape, and tree service in St. Louis, Missouri. So I have been an employer. And a lot of what I do with teaching stems off of that experience. I like to see our time together in the classroom as kind of an employer-employee working relationship. It works that way. It's like college is a practice ground for you before you step into your career field. And so the two go hand in hand. And a lot of what we do in this class will be centered on how is this life applicable? How does taking this Comp 1 class help me with my work life? I will take all of the materials throughout this time, throughout our class, and I'm going to make it life applicable for you. Another thrust behind that is I started teaching, it says general education professor since October 2010. I started teaching at Vatterott College in St. Louis, Missouri. So I was teaching at a trade school where I had welding students, plumbing students, building maintenance students, HVAC students, electrical students, medical assisting students, pharmacy tech students. I had this wide variety of trade school students who none of them thought, not a one, thought they needed an English class. Why do I have to take that stupid class? Right? And so from the outset, I had 34 students in my very first class. From the outset, I had to learn how to take students who think I hate English class and turn them into people who understand these are soft skills that are vital to my success in life. And so as a trade school instructor, I learned very quick how to take the course materials and translate them, twist them, make them life applicable. So we have my experience as an employer and my experience as a trade school instructor and my degree in creative writing that are the force behind the passion that I bring to your Comp 1 class. I want this experience to be life-changing for you. That's my goal, always. So a little bit more about me here. You can go on Amazon and type in my name and you'll find out that I'm an author. Small-time author, no New York Times as of yet. I do have A Kiss in the Rain is on there available, and The American Queen is on there available. I would love to tell you all about both of those. I have a children's book called Not Real and Never Will Be, which is based on something that happened to me when I was a little girl. And I do have a couple of other books, but they are not currently available. I have short stories and several anthologies that can be found on Amazon as well. So I do love writing. It's a passion of mine, and I bring all of that information to you in this Comp 1 class. So I have previously taught Comp, psychology, sociology, and American history. I love all of those subjects. And so I can't stop myself. Sometimes I'm going to be like, well, back in history, blah, blah. I can't help it. And I will always bring psychology into the class, always, because English class is soft skills training, is psychology. They're hand in hand. They go together. So I can't help it. And I don't apologize. It's so fun. In 2013, I was awarded Most Innovative Teacher of the Year, and that's something I'm very proud of. It is something I continue to strive to do. I am teaching in a much larger environment now, so standing out doesn't quite come as naturally as it used to. But I like to do things differently. I like to do things that you don't expect, say things that you don't expect. I like to keep my students engaged. And I sit back and I hear in faculty meetings, I hear people talk about student engagement all the time. And I'm like, well, I think if you were just passionate about the subject that you teach, your students would be engaged. Personal opinion. So I am the mother. This might help with all of that too. I am the mother / stepmom of 11. 8 boys, 3 girls, and 4 precious grandbabies. So that actually should say mother / mother-in-law / stepmom. So 8 boys, 3 girls, 4 precious grandbabies. So that's a lot, right? Christmas gets expensive. Actually, no, we didn't do that much this year for hardly anyone, because why? It's about relationship, right? You should know I love you. So and then also something that's important to know about me is, out of my 6 biological children, I have 2 on the autism spectrum. So they've changed the name of Asperger's over the years, autism spectrum disorder or something. It's ASD now, but it was Asperger's for many years. I have 2 sons who have been diagnosed on the autism spectrum as Asperger's. So one is 26 now. He is a data analyst of brain scans in the brain scan department at Washington University. He is self-taught coding. Brilliant kid, absolutely brilliant kid, like literally blows my mind. And then the other one's 20, and he's still trying to figure out what his shtick is, and just trying to be an encouragement to him, right? Yeah. He's 20, but he looks like he's 12, bless his heart. But that's, autism does strange things to people. And if you have family members who are autistic, you get what I mean by that. Like, he literally is a child. Even though he's physically 20 years old, he's still very much a child. Now, his brother, same diagnosis, is 26 and makes more money than I do. It took him a while, but he found his shtick. He found his thing, and he threw himself into it and self-taught himself to code to such a good ability that he now works at Washington University, which is a highly prestigious university in St. Louis. I don't think I could be more proud. Love it. And here I am, a college professor, saying my kid didn't go to college, but it's not for everyone. There are some degree or some career fields that require what I do for you to achieve where you want to be. But not every field. It's not for everyone. Hear me say that. I fully believe that. Is that a strange thing for me to believe? I don't think so. And if you're here, chances are your career field requires you to be here. And so let's make this a good experience. So all of my experiences, I twist and infiltrate into our course, as I believe English courses are soft skills training. I see what we do in this class as prep for you, getting the job that you desire and keeping the job that you desire. It's all about the money, guys. It's all about the money. How do we make it? How do we keep it? English class is vital for this. Should be vital for this. Can be vital for this. Mine is, because I've crafted it that way. I teach with motivation and a passion for personal excellence. Trust me to bring you an English class with the potential to shake up your world. That's my goal. So give me your time, and you have my word, I will not waste yours. Now, I will say this is an online course only. We will never have an on-ground, on-campus, face-to-face experience as a class. We will never have an on-Zoom, face-to-face class experience. It's not what this class is. So it's going to be interesting as we take this journey together, to see how we pull this together for ourselves, because you've got to put in the work. If we were sitting in the classroom together, it'd be real easy if you just kick back and let me lecture and half listen to what I'm saying. But since this is a fully online class, it really does fall on you. I hope you realize that. There will be required readings. There will be some weeks there isn't a video lecture. And so if you're going to get the material for that week, you're going to have to do the reading. It's just the way it is. So, but that's all good. It's all good. It's fine, right? You signed up for this. You understand that. So we're moving forward. Contacting your professor. So hopefully you're in the right class. Make sure. So my office numbers, that's not really my office number. It is my Google Voice number. It is 918-994-2324. It is a larger font because it's important. I text. I do not talk on the phone. I text. I want you to text me, not email me. Do you hear that? Text, not email. That Google Voice number is for students only. All right. As long as I'm awake, this is under office hours. As long as I'm awake, I will answer a text message. If you send me an email, I may not see it. Not for a while. I don't get email notifications on my phone because I have so many emails. It would be continually blowing up. Not doing it. No, thanks. But if you send me a text message, I will get it. Now, I know what it's like to message a professor and not get a response back and wait. I know that frustration because I went back to college when I was in my 30s. I had 6 children running a business. Not the children weren't running the business. I was running the business. I was running a business in school full time, and I had 6 children. And I was working outside of the home. So I had all of that going on when I went back to college in my 30s. And if we were going to get into a long, detailed story, just know I went back to college to save my life. So we don't need to get into it any deeper than that. But I did. I went back to college to save my life. And so I was dedicated and I worked hard and I had a lot going on in my world. So for those of you who have a lot going on in your world, I need you to hear me say, I understand. You need to ask yourself how bad you want this. For me, it was life or death. I needed that education so I could change my life. And many of you who are coming back to school, you're a little older, you know how that feels. You need a change. So know that I understand that. I've had that experience where I've reached out to a professor and I didn't hear back. Not in appropriate time. And that's frustrating. And I will not have you frustrated. I will answer you if I'm able. Now, if I'm in the middle of dinner, I'm at a family function, if I'm asleep, I'm not going to get right back to you. But as quickly as I can, I will respond to a text message, not an email. So please, please, please get that in your brain. Put this number in your phone. This is a good time for you to stop right now. Stop the PowerPoint, stop the lecture, just pause, put that number into your phone so you can easily contact me. And then if I text you, you'll know who it is that's contacting you. I do have a school office. I will be there on Tuesdays and Thursdays this semester only. But even that's going to be kind of a short window. I am going to be mostly home this semester, teaching online live classes. I do have 7 classes this semester, and at 20 a pop, that's about 140 students. So a lot going on. I like to be busy. I like my brain constantly just like, raw. I like that. So I function better under pressure. I don't know if any of you are like that as well, but that's kind of how I function. You might think I'm complaining sometimes, but I'm really not. It is like intense pressure. I love it. Like I do my best when I'm under pressure. So, but my office is on the Southeast campus, 1103, which means it's in building 1 on the lower level, office 3. So, or room 3. Again, I'm not going to be there very often. Text message is the best way to communicate with me. So There, I've said all of that. Now, if we were in the classroom together, I would ask you this question. We'd go around the room and I would have you introduce yourselves, and you'd all be like, oh no, I hate this part, but it's fine. Just get through it. You'll survive. And I know that most people that take online classes tend to be on the introverted side. So you're like, that's exactly why I didn't take an on-ground campus class, because I don't want to do this part. I get it. I know you. I feel it. But we're going to do it in a discussion thread format. So not this specific question, but we'll do a little bit of introduction. So, but if we were on campus together, I would say, what are your expectations for this class? Most of you are going to be like, just to pass or to get it over with. I know how you feel. It's English Comp 1. I get it. Not all of you are like as excited about it as I am. I'm hoping that that will change. I'm hoping you'll see the value in what we're going to be doing together. My expectation is that everyone will gain soft skills. Please keep in mind, and I have the article to back this up, there are scientific studies that back this up. Everyone will gain, when people are fired or quit, 80% of the time it's because they have a lack of soft skills, a lack of communication skills, a lack of understanding how to use their words appropriately. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do in here. So excited. So let's get started, right? So we're going to jump to the syllabus, which means I'm going to have to stop the screen share, put us into the syllabus, and then we'll come back over here. So there's our stop share. And we're going to go over here. And we're going to go to Blackboard. We're going to go to Blackboard. Oh, I don't have it quite open yet. Let's open that up. Here we are. This is what you should see when you open your Blackboard course shell. There's the announcements screen. The announcement screen is very important. I will use it. And if I need you to know something, if I have to make a change on the syllabus, if I have to change a due date, since we're not going to be on campus together or meeting on Zoom, there won't be any announcements about like, snow today, we won't have class. We're not going to have any of those kind of announcements. So pretty much we'll be relegated to if I'm making any changes or if there are typos that have been found or anything of that nature. It's things that I need to make you aware of. If there are campus events going on that I think that would be cool for you to know about, I definitely will talk to you about the Tulsa Review at some point. News notification. Those kinds of things will be in announcements, and the announcements will also come to you in your TCC email. If I remember to check the little box that sends it to your email. You do want to be checking your TCC email on a regular basis as a student at TCC, because every department is going to send you information, and a lot of it's good information you don't want to miss. So make sure that you're checking your TCC email. If you do have on-ground classes or Zoom classes, you don't want to miss anything. Especially like if we're having inclement weather and they're not going to have class, you need to be checking those things. The next item here on the left-hand side of your screen, that is your course menu, would be the syllabus. And we'll come back to that in just a second. I want to show you these other things before I jump into the syllabus. So the faculty profile, just a little bit more about me. If you're interested, you're not required to read this. I'm not going to quiz you on any of this information. I copy pasted it from another class and it didn't indent, and that's something I need to go in. That's like nails on chalkboard to me. So that's something I need to go in and fix. But so there's just some more if you want to know a little bit more about who I am and what I bring to the table. The next section here, where it says Unit 1 Introduction, this is where all of your weekly activities, work, assignments will open up. So every unit will open up here. We have 5 units, and so they will each open up here. You will click on your unit and go in. Each unit has anywhere between 3 and 5 weeks in it. only the current week of the class is going to show. Now, week 1 will never go away, but next week it'll show week 1 and week 2. And then the following week, it will show week 1, week 2, and week 3. So the weeks will stay there, so you have access to the materials from prior weeks, but you can't go ahead and access information from the future. I have those things set to not be open. So if we click on week 1, it gives you a little bit of a rundown of what you have for today. The PowerPoint that we are looking at is right here for you. So you can always open up the PowerPoint, walk yourself through it, especially if there is not a video lecture. Now, I am doing a video lecture right now. When I am finished with this, I will upload it here in this space for you. It will sit right there above. I'm going to put it above the PowerPoint presentation. So not every week will there be one, but this week there is. So hi, that's going to be sitting up there for you. But each week you do want to open up the PowerPoint presentation, put it into slideshow mode, and watch it from the beginning. You'll need to click the space bar or the down arrow will move you from slide to slide. So we have an introduction board, discussion board this week where you're going to answer these questions and you're going to comment on at least 5 classmates' posts. Until you have done that, it will not submit to me for grading. So this is like a get to know you icebreaker kind of activity. And everyone's going to participate. There are points attached. Also, we're going to this week do our night shift choice. And I'm going to explain that more when we get into the syllabus / the PowerPoint a little bit further. Handouts for this week that would be excellent for you to read would be the Cornell note-taking format handout and the rubric for this course. I like to call the rubric How My Brain Works. Things that you want to know before I grade your essay. These are the things I'm going to be looking for, and these are the amounts of points that I remove if your stuff isn't up to par. So those are handouts for this week of class. The Cornell note-taking format saved my life back in 1991. I don't remember who taught it to me, but I was early in my college education. I started college in August of 1990. And it may have been before 1991 that I was taught this, but memory tells me it was 1991. I don't remember which professor it was, but I was taught the Cornell note-taking format, and it literally changed education for me. I had always identified as smart prior to that, but once I knew how to take notes and to keep my information organized in such a way that studying for tests became easier, there was no stopping me educationally. So read that. I put it together for you because I want to help you with your college education. So that is a handout that I am saying to you, read this, use this. It will be of benefit. So yeah, that's on you if you do it or not. Seriously, that's on you. Oh. Okay, moving on. Handouts. The handout section, these are all handouts that I've put together that I think are going to be beneficial for you. I do have them also separated under each week, which ones apply to each week. But here they are all compiled together. So handouts that are tips, tricks, ideas, MLA related are the first section. These are important. It's definitely a suggestion that you read each one of these. Open them up, save them to your computers, use them as resources. They're free. I'm giving them to you. Use them as resources. Let me tell you this. You live in an internet age. You're going to college in the internet age. When I went to college in August of 1990, this is one of those, I went to school uphill in the snow, barefoot, back and forth kind of stories. But I did start college in August of 1990, and I went to school not with a computer, but with a typewriter. and a bottle of liquid paper and a stack of paper. I had a grammar textbook. That was it. Back in those days, grammar was, did you know it or did you not? And if you were questioning a comma placement, you opened up your grammar textbook and you looked for the rule in your grammar textbook so you could cross your fingers and hope for the best. You don't live in that world. You literally do not live in that world. And I'm jealous. So it blows my mind and baffles my brain when students turn in papers that have grammatical mistakes on them, like a lot of mistakes. All you have to do is a quick internet search. Watch this. Let's just do it real quick. Let's just open up a new screen and we're going to type in grammar check. Grammar checker. Let's do that. Check that out. So many. So many. There for you to use. I'm going to stop the screen share for a second. My screen was freezing up, so I just had to come back over here for a second. So, but just a quick Google search shows us that there are so many grammar checkers out there. You can use, there's a plethora, literally a plethora, which means many. So run them on your paper. But also you want to be careful about which ones you're using. And we're going to talk more about that when we get into the syllabus. But you can see right here, it says how to Grammarly. Grammarly is my favorite. Grammarly is my favorite. I'm going to talk about that. All right, we're going to talk about that more. I have it written into lesson plans to talk about it at a different time. I will briefly mention it when we're looking at the syllabus, but we will talk about that when we get into one of the other PowerPoints. There's a slide or 2 or 5 about it. So we'll take a look at that. But please keep in mind that in this world today, you really literally have zero excuse for turning in a paper that has many grammatical mistakes in it. You have zero excuse for that. Unless you procrastinated and wrote your paper at 3 o'clock in the morning, the day it was due. But that's not a good excuse, right? That's called poor planning. That's called lack of priorities. That's called, when we put this into perspective of employer-employee, that's when the employer looks at you, the employee, and goes, yeah, we're going to put a check, like a negative check, in that employee file. Those things add up. Those things get us fired at work. So, la, la, la. Just keep that in mind. I just feel very strongly about this. Like, use a grammar checker. Why wouldn't you? I do. And I have a writing degree, right? I have a master's in writing, and I use Grammarly every day. Every day. So back to this. So there's MLA handouts. So there's really, again, there's no excuse for not getting your MLA correct. We're going to talk more about MLA in another week of class, so don't panic about that now. I'm going to walk you through some things, okay? I like to baby step through these processes. The note cards handout is there. The rubric is there. The writing and outline worksheet, which we'll go over in week 3, is here. The writing process, we'll go over that. Word spacing fix. You're going to be like, what is that? Like, the wording on that is so awkward, but I'm not changing it because it makes me giggle. So I was trying to be smart, and it was just like, it didn't come out great, but I haven't fixed it. So there are some things about Word that we're going to take a look at in Blackboard, not Blackboard, in a PowerPoint. And I'm going to explain some things to you in another week about that. Writing the sentences into your work. Then there's the editing section. So handouts that have to do with editing that are all very helpful for you. Literary analysis handouts, rhetorical analysis handouts. We will reference back to these throughout the semester. Grammar handouts, just for fun. Why not? Since we don't have a textbook, you have all these handouts. And by the way, you're welcome on that no textbook thing. See, your textbook is up here. This is what's in my head. And I feel like I can do a better job at presenting this information to you and for you. So that's what we're aiming for. That's the goal. So then job skills articles and handouts. I'm going to talk more about that when we get to the syllabus as well. You're like, why is there job skills stuff? Oh, just hold on. Let's see. Discussions. So all of our upcoming discussions, you can find them here, but they are also going to be under the units and weeks in which they are assigned and due. The send email function is cool because if you come in here and you click all student users, there's everybody in our class and you can send an email to the entire class if you would like to. You can also just email particular users. So you could go into select users and you could choose a classmate or two to contact or however you want to make that work. This is where you'll see your grades. So let's take a look at that syllabus. And here it is for you. All you have to do is click on the syllabus link right there on your course menu, and it pulls the whole darn thing up. We do have a link to it here. You can open it up and save it to your computer. It is a Word document. You can save it to your computer and make changes on it. Not changes that would be different than mine, but if I change a due date or something, you could feel free to go in there and take care of that too, just for your own self. So some information here on the syllabus that we absolutely need to go over together. Again, there will always be Stephen King quotes. He has said so many wonderful things. So this one says, just remember that Dumbo didn't need the feather. The magic was already in him. Just like you. This class is your feather. And at the end of the class, I'm going to rip it away and you're going to fly. Now you guys are going, wow, this chick is like a little off her rocker. I'm okay with that, right? It makes life a lot more interesting. What this does. Okay, let's take a look here. So we are an online class, and we do not have any set meeting times. Nothing on Zoom, nothing on campus. We will have peer review weeks, a class where you will be participating in peer review groups, but we'll talk more about that as we get to it. Contacting your professor, again, text. So it is 918-994-2324. Put that number in your phone. Do it now. Pause the video. Do it now. Use that to communicate with me, not email. Don't use email. I'm asking you, please. Don't use email because I want to be able to respond to you quickly. If you use email, you will not hear from me quickly. You just won't. So use the text and I will get back to you as quickly as possible. All right, school office information. That would be if for some reason you needed to reach out to someone in the Communication, English, and World Languages office. Like if you had a concern that needed to go above me, you would reach out to them. Student support. Oh yeah, it's all there. Okay, so I don't know why I put this most excellent news right here at this point, but I wanted to make sure I tell you that if you do not have Microsoft Office already downloaded, you can download it from the TCC website at no cost, no additional cost outside of your tuition. So while you are a student at TCC, you have access to Microsoft Office 365. For this class, that would be a really good idea because if you are using Word, 365 Word, you have access to Word's editor feature. And Word's editor feature is almost as good as Grammarly. Almost. They're getting there. They're doing a great job. And I'm super proud of Microsoft for coming up with this editor feature inside of Word. So again, we have zero excuse to turn in papers that are full of grammatical mistakes, because if you're typing in Word, you're already going to see, it's going to show you immediately underline things that you need to fix and correct and pay attention to. And then if you click the editor button, which is up to the top right, it's going to open up this whole new screen that's going to walk you through all the specific errors and mistakes that you need to take a look at. It's amazing. So my suggestion is, please, please, please make sure that you download Microsoft Office from the TCC website. It's on My TCC on the My Account tab. Look for Student Software Downloads and the Student Quick Links box, and then you will find it there. If you need technical support, you can reach out to 595-2000 or email. Actually, you need to email Student Support Center. I need to change that. That's a change that needs to be made. It is not Call 2000. It is Student Support Center at tulsacc.edu. So that is an important thing for you to know. I skipped something important that I've got in green letters here. All essays and assignments are to be turned in as Word documents in this class, or, and probably best, PDF files. Google Docs and Blackboard do not like each other. When you upload something as a Google Doc, when I open it up on my side, it's going to go, right? It's not going to look the way it's supposed to. There is something glitchy there, and maybe they've fixed it by now. My experience has been that they have not. So I prefer your assignments turned in as PDFs. Word documents are fine. Let's see, campus access. Yeah, I do need to update those email addresses. Academic and student services. Both of those links there are going to take you to very important parts of My TCC. Under the wellness page, I wanted to let you know that TCC does offer counseling services to all students. You have 5 free sessions in academic calendar year. Chad Michael is the name of our school counselor, and he is an incredibly nice man. It's all confidential. I highly suggest that you don't feel intimidated to reach out for assistance, and you can contact him or find out what other resources that TCC has available to you, which we have many resources for students in regard to wellness, whether it's physical or mental, emotional. Those things are all available to you as a student at TCC, and to access those things, click that link. So we also have, you may not know this, but you might, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you, but TCC has partnered with the Y, and all of the TCC workout facilities are Y locations. And so you can go to your closest TCC workout facility and sign up for a Y membership that for you as a student is free. I believe it's free. There's also a heavy discount if you want to pay for the all access pass, and that gives you access to all Y locations in the entire Tulsa area, not just the TCC campuses. As a student, you will have access, if you have the Y membership, to all of the TCC facilities. Of course, you can go to any of those, but you can also then get the pass that allows you to get into all of the Y locations. All of the TCC workout facilities have equipment provided by the Y. So it's all brand new, and it's good quality and beautiful locations. Southeast is where my office is. Our Y location in the back in Building 9 is beautiful. It's many windows, very open, very airy. I love going in there, walking the track or getting on the treadmill. There are TVs you can watch, of course, but there are also giant windows that overlook the lake out there that's in the middle of the Southeast campus. It's really beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So all of that information is available to you through that safety and wellness page link. Now, moving down, course catalog description for Comp 1 is not very exciting, is it? The first in a sequence of 2 courses, Comp 1 introduces students to academic writing, basic research, and documentation. More detailed course outcomes are listed below. I promise it's going to be okay. That makes it sound like daunting. It's not. It's not. We're going to be fine. We are going to baby step through all of these things. The prerequisite, we don't need to worry about that. But then the next course in sequence, of course, will be Comp 2. I do teach a lot of Comp 2 here. I love Comp 2. Oh, love it. Love that class. And I'll probably talk about it as we get closer to it. So, textbooks, supplies, and other resources. Your required textbook is here it is. Oh, look, that's the back of it. Night Shift by Stephen King. This is an anthology, which means it's a collection of short stories that he put together in the 70s, in the 1970s. I picked this up on Amazon for like $5, $6. So you don't need to spend a lot of money to get the book that we need for this course. And again, if you are hearing the name Stephen King and going, I don't want to read anything by Stephen King, which some people do, hold on. Be patient. Trust me, please. So we'll get to talking more about that here in just a bit. Grammarly, and I put this in red because it's important. Be on top of the writing game every darn day. I'm a fan of euphemisms, just saying. I like to use soft words in place of harsh words. We'll talk more about that another time, but every darn day. So I'm going to talk more about Grammarly in another week. Very important, though. Highly recommend. They should pay me because I talk about them so much. So think of it as a textbook expense. It's if you get Grammarly Premium, which is what I use, it's $140 a year. But what's so cool about it is you can use it for every class. You can use it at work. You can use it for personal communication. There's an extension for your browser. There's an app for your phone. It will run on everything that you do that's communications. See, if you're using just Microsoft Editor, you won't have that option. But if you have Grammarly Premium, it's across the board. It makes you, the person, more professional. And personally, I'm all about that life. I'm all about coming across professionally. So I use it. And I get a little weekly email from Grammarly that tells me how well I've done in comparison to all other Grammarly users. And I tend to be fairly competitive, so that works for me. I like it. So let's see, because it's important, I repeat, Microsoft Office is available for download for all TCC students. So there's that plug for editor right there. Now here's a giant heads up. Again, that's why it's in red. Never ask, and this is all college classes, this is not just mine, never ask if the textbook is going to be used in the class. Don't ever ask your professor that. Please don't ever. Do yourself a favor. Never ask your professor that question. If it's on the syllabus, it's your responsibility to read it. They've included it because they know it's good information and it's important. Does that mean that they're required to use it in the class? No. No. They're not required. Most will give you a suggested reading list for that textbook. So just be aware of that, please. That's like one of those little life tidbits that I'm going to give to you, especially those of you that are moving on to university. If it's on the syllabus, read it your own self. Make your way through it. The professor obviously feels that book is important to back up what they're talking about in the classroom. So don't ask if you need it. You need it if it's on there. Just please do yourself a favor. And then because I do not want you to be lacking in tools, there's a list of handouts, but it's not a comprehensive list of all those handouts that I showed you already. We have a lot of handouts and I keep adding to them. So that's not a comprehensive list, but it is a reminder that you have handouts available to you that I've only been doing this for a year and a half. I think I made most of these handouts a year ago because it got to the point where I was just like, how do students not, these are things that are just not common knowledge anymore like they were when I went to school in 1990. So I've created a bunch of handouts, and most of them I made myself. Some of them I compiled from things I found on the internet, just things that are beneficial and helpful for you, that I want you to save to your computer and read. Yeah, I don't know how else to express that. Learning outcomes. It is a goal of mine that all students find confidence in themselves, who they are, and in their critical thinking skills and personal abilities. It is also my goal that each student digs into themselves, roots out what it is they truly want in life and their college experience, and discovers they are capable of being successful in not just this class, but in their lives. Regarding success, keep this in mind. Success can be defined in a variety of ways. It depends on you and what your goals are, why you are taking this class, and what you plan to achieve for you. I will work to assist each of you to find your success in the class. So a mantra for me when it comes to life is this, and my children tend to hear this come out of my mouth: if you want it, you'll do it. If you don't, you won't. You show yourself by what you do. So if you want to do well, you're going to put the effort in. If you're just here because you need the class on your transcript and you don't really give a rat's patoot about anything, it'll show. It'll show. Keep in mind, your college professors can be your best recommendation letters. I wrote 2 just this last week that are pretty cool, if I do say so myself. They were well done, but they were for students that deserved it. When they reached out and asked if I would write recommendation to both of them, I was like, heck yeah. Now, if you've been somebody who I don't remember a year later, or somebody who just kind of blew the class off, you probably don't want to ask me for a recommendation. Because I'll be honest, because it's my reputation on the line. So if I'm going to put my stamp of approval on you, you're going to have shown me that you're worthy of that. So if you want it, you'll do it. And you show yourself by what you do. I mean, that's just something I live by every day. Well, let's see here. I'm going to skip through these because that's all basic syllabus stuff. Assessments and teaching methods. We will have lectures and discussions, essays, and a few exams. You guys are like, what? No, quizzes? Yes, quizzes and exams. We've got a midterm and a final. Feedback from the professor. Interactive group work. We will be doing peer review with discussion. Engaging lectures. And entertaining videos. I love videos. I will show videos in the PowerPoint presentations. It's another reason why you need to open those up and put them into slideshow mode so that most of the video links will run in the PowerPoint. So you want to do that. We will also have readings from our text and instructional handouts, etc. Stephen King quote: "Optimism is a perfectly legitimate response to failure." Heck yeah. Failure is good. That means you're trying. It means you have a growth mindset. It means you understand that failure just means, okay, well, I learned something. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it better this time. Love that. Format for all coursework. We are using MLA format in this class. And again, we will talk more about MLA in another week of class. All the information is on Blackboard, but here is what I wrote on the syllabus. To ascertain what these are, MLA format guidelines. Please note that you have multiple resources. Well, this says the course textbook, but we don't have a textbook for this class. MLA handouts on the course menu in Blackboard, the Writing Center, the TCC librarians, Google, Bing, whatever search engine you use, sites like OWL Purdue, Citation Machine, EasyBib. Literally, you can access information on utilizing correct MLA format in innumerable places. I say innumerable only because I don't want to count them. For me, they are innumerable. I am not a math teacher. You know, I did a Google search MLA format. I found it on Pinterest. That made me laugh. Like, you can legit find MLA handouts on Pinterest. What the heck? I thought that was supposed to be like a crafting site. But yeah, you can find MLA handouts, how to MLA on Pinterest. So again, for me, you live in the internet age, you have zero, hear me, zero excuse for turning in a paper that's not in correct MLA format. You have one of the greatest resources possible in the Writing Center. Just make an appointment with the Writing Center consultant, go down there, show them your paper. Do you know that's part of your tuition? Like, the Writing Center people work for you. Did you realize that? They work for you. So go down there and talk to them. They're cool. And most of them have the same education levels as your professors do. Most of them have similar degrees to mine. They know what they're doing. And you know what? They're nice people. They're not scary. They're very cool people. And their whole goal, their entire job, is to take a look at your paper and help you with it. That's your entire job. And guess what? They know MLA. So who better to talk to, right? That's not my job. My job is to give you some resources and tell you your paper better be in MLA format. I mean, we could have an MLA lesson that took a whole hour if you would like to. I don't know. We have other things to discuss. But you can learn about MLA from all of these different resources. You can match your paper against the handouts that I've given to you. Go to the Writing Center, talk to a librarian at one of our libraries. They're all educated as well. So you have resources, please use them. All right. All writing assignments we turned in as Microsoft Word documents or PDF files. PDF files are great because it's going to look the same when I open it up as when you saw it on your computer. So PDF is, make sure that you're using Times New Roman 12-point font on all assignments. If it is a font that is not Times New Roman, I will take off points, and that is on the rubric. So papers are always double spaced. We're going to take a look in another PowerPoint about extra spacings and what that means, and we'll look at how to get rid of those. There's how your header should be, blah, 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 blah. What to name your Microsoft Word documents or your PDF documents. Save your documents following these templates. I will not grade submissions that do not follow this formatting. Attention to detail is everything. So when you turn in your rough draft, or you turn in your final draft, your miscellaneous assignments, you need to have saved them to your computer with these names and upload them to Blackboard with these appropriate name formats. So rough draft will be your last name, first name, underscore E1, SA1, underscore RD, rough draft. Last name, first name, underscore E2, underscore RD, SA2, rough draft. Then for final drafts, last name, first name, underscore E1, underscore FD, final draft. And then if we have any miscellaneous assignments that we'll be uploading, last name, first name, dash, whatever the title of that assignment is. This is important. And attention to detail is everything. Again, that employer-employee thing comes into play here, right? When you're at work, attention to detail is often everything. And you can get fired for a lack of attention to detail. So let's don't get fired in Comp 1. Let's don't get zeros in Comp 1. Let's save our documents appropriately. Pay attention to detail. That's one of those things that when I write a recommendation letter, I love to be able to say about students, that they have incredible attention to detail, because I know that's something employers are looking for. Remember, I've been an employer. And I know other employers, so just saying. So grading policy and feedback, your success hinges on you and me, and I know it. I have to do my job well so that you can do your job well. It's a circle thing, right? We work together. We are a team mentality. So that's the way I see this. And you can see those words down there underlined. We are a team. You work and I work. We function as a team. In there is an italic, not an italics, but asterisk. That's the word. Well, let's read this. Okay, it says, you must have all information possible regarding your growth in the class as the class moves along. Therefore, I will do my best to have all assignments graded within a week after the due date. The goal is to have your paper graded and back to you before the following essay is assigned, so that you have an opportunity to review my feedback and ensure that you have taken steps to adjust those issues pointed out before your next project is due. Turnaround by me is essential to your ability to be successful in the class. Again, I've had those professors where I turned papers in, never got anything back, never got a grade back, never knew how I was doing in the class, like completely frustrating. I refuse to be that professor. So I will grade your papers as quickly as I can and get them back to you with feedback on the papers. So I'm going to show you in a Blackboard, in a PowerPoint, how to open that up on Word, or not on Word, but on Blackboard, so that you can review my comments. Because I want you to grow through the semester. I want you to do well through the semester. So the asterisks, this is a good thing for you to remember. If you are unsatisfied with your grade and you feel you can do better, especially after reviewing my comments inside your submission on Blackboard, it will be your responsibility to text or email me and request an opportunity to revise your paper. Explain to me why and how you will accomplish this. I may indeed allow your revision, but it must come upon you requesting the opportunity to resubmit. So if I grade your paper, I give you a D and you're like, I don't want a D, reach out, text me. Say, hey, Mrs. C, can I redo this paper, please? And more than likely, I'm going to say yes. More than likely. But only if you ask. Because I may want to talk to you about it first. And that's an important thing, so we don't want to skip that part. Let's see, we've already talked about that. Late work. Late work is a reduction of 10 points. It's not like 10 points per day, it's just 10 points. So if your essay is late, it's going to automatically be a 90 before I even grade it. So just keep that in mind. Peer reviews are not, or rough drafts are not accepted late. Not. Because peer review is based upon your rough draft being turned in on time. So there are no rough drafts accepted late. It is an all or nothing grade. It is a 0 or a 25 points on rough drafts. And I've got that written in another spot. Oh no, it's right there. No rough drafts accepted late. It's in red, Daisha. How did you miss that? This is because they are for peer review, which will be conducted on certain days and at certain times. These are all or nothing grades. You can tell I'm from Oklahoma, huh? All or nothing. Instead of nothing. I heard that as it came out and I was like, oh, Daisha. So the last day for all work to be turned in is May the 10th at midnight. No exceptions. I won't take anything beyond that time. Stephen King quote, write with the door closed, rewrite with the door open. We'll talk more about that another time. Academic dishonesty. Wow. Plagiarism. This is a huge issue in colleges across the world. This is not just TCC. And it's something that my colleagues talk about a lot. Honestly, I don't find I have many issues with plagiarism in my classes. Most of that is because I have such enthusiasm for my class that my students tend to want to do well on their own. Also, it's because my assignments are crafted to be unique and they require your own brain to write them. So I don't do canned assignments. I don't do pick a topic and write about it. I don't do that either, because the temptation to take a paper off of one of those sites where you can exchange papers with other students across the world. Yes, your faculty is aware that those sites exist. We found out about, I don't remember the name of it here now. I don't know if it's Course Hero or Chegg, or I don't remember what the name of it was, but we were in a faculty meeting a couple of years ago, and somebody brought up this new site that students are stealing papers from. Not stealing, students are getting papers from. And my colleagues, they were all like, oh my gosh. We started, because on the site that we were looking at, students have to upload their papers. And then the site, I guess, would draw the professor's name and draw the student's name and everything off. Not off, like you could still see it, but to file them in a way, I suppose. But you would have to upload a paper in order to receive a paper. So if you needed someone's paper that you could then put your name in and turn it in as your own, you would have to upload a paper that you wrote. It's a exchange deal. So my colleagues are typing their names in on there, and they're pulling up, oh my God, I have so many students on here. Oh my God, right? Do you know, I found one. And when I saw that student's name, I could not have been more disappointed. And that student better never ask me for a recommendation letter, because I will say no. And what made me most sad was that student and I got along fairly well in classes. She had me for Comp 1 and Comp 2. That student just got a degree in early education. My disappointment level is high. It like negated all the good things, because I know that student is willing to cheat. So the level of respect, gone. Maybe that's important to you, maybe it's not. It's important to me. I will never take someone else's words and put my name on it and say that that was mine, because I'm a writer, and I understand that stealing someone else's words is theft, intellectual theft, and that's wrong. It's not moral. So anyway, kind of an important topic for me. So I craft my assignments to be unique. Like, they require you to think. There's not like a file folder on the internet somewhere of Daisha Cunningham's class papers that you can steal. It's just not there. So my assignments are unique. My course content is unique. That's on purpose, because I want you to be thinking for yourself. I want you to be stretching yourself. I want you to be learning. I don't know. I like getting better all the time. I like to assume that everybody else is just like me. My husband says, Daisha, not everyone's just like you. And I'm like, but they could be. They could be. They could all want to be their very best. So that's how we're going to deal with plagiarism. I just recently found out about this new site, Chat GPT. Don't use that. Don't use that. Wow, if we get to know each other and I find out that you use that, there's just no respect for that. None. Zero. So don't use a site that writes your papers for you. Wow. Just freaking wow. So moving on, I like just learned about Chat GPT yesterday. And it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. We are so lazy as a society now. So lazy, because everything's just handed to us on a silver platter. Man, seriously, when I went to college in August of 1990, grammar was, did I know it or did I not? Sink or swim. No life preserver, except for this little green handbook, grammar textbook. Like, could you survive that? Could you? do that. Anyway, moving on. If you open up the syllabus link, there's a picture of Jack Sparrow here beside Don't Be a Pirate. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. Don't be a pirate. Don't steal. Don't theft. So anyway, if you submit any assignment containing plagiarism and I catch you, and I do use Safe Assign for final drafts. And sometimes I can tell that just doesn't sound like you. I throw it into some of the Google tools that exist. You might not know what all the Google tools are. Throw it into some Google tools. It's pretty easy to catch cheaters, and I've done it throughout the years. I've done it, which is one of the reasons why I learned to create unique assignments. So if I catch any plagiarism, it will result in a 0 for the assignment. You must contact me within 24 hours to set up an appointment to meet either by phone or in person. I mean, I don't know about the 24 hours thing, but if you do see that I've given you a 0 on something and you want to talk to me about it, maybe ask for an opportunity to redo it or make a case for I didn't cheat. You have that opportunity. During our meeting, I will determine whether you understand plagiarism well enough to remain in the class. It may be that you just didn't use quotation marks correctly. It may be that you did document your sources and you just used a lot of sources, which is one of the reasons why I have a stipulation on all of our essay assignments that you only have 1 to 2 in-text citations per page, because I want you using your own words and your own opinions. So I may allow you to revise the assignment, but I'm not obligated to, and will not if the plagiarism is blatant and or extensive. A second offense will result in automatic withdrawal from the class, and the student will be reported to the department chair. Use your own words and be proud of what you know and accomplish. And then if you, again, look at the syllabus that's on the link, there's a little picture of Mario there, right? Mario from Mario Brothers, because that's like the extent of my knowledge of video games. I challenge you to look at making excellent grades, like collecting points in a video game. Keep at it, make the jumps, practice, keep going. Read all the feedback, take notes. Don't let any of it defeat you, right? Like you would in a video game. I know most of you are gamers, and you're not going to stop. You're going to keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it till you beat it. Well, why not look at your classes the same way? Collect all the points. Be Mario, save the princess. So I know that video games run the world right now, and many of you would rather sit down in front of your game systems than write an essay for class. Always be thinking about your future. Which one of those 2 things is going to get you the future that you need or that you desire? So you can sit around and play more video games, right? You got to be able to do college now and make it work for you. So Stephen King says, by the time I was 14, the nail in the wall would no longer support the weight of the rejection slips impaled upon it. I replaced the nail with a spike and went on writing. We're going to revisit that in another week. We're going to hear about that and what that means. But Stephen King had a growth mindset, he's still living, has a growth mindset. Like he's all about taking failure and critique and learning from it and making yourself better. And that's what that's about. Collecting rejection slips, collecting them like they're candy that you're going to put in a jar. But he puts them on the wall with a spike. Just one after the other. Yes, Stephen King gets rejections. He used to get a lot more than he gets now. But yeah, it's true. The rubric. So there's the rubric, which is also called How I Grade Your Papers, the way my brain works and what I think is important. So it's on the left there, and that would be really important for you to get familiar with. Use it as a checklist before you turn in your final essays or when you're doing peer review of your classmates' essays. Use this. Check marks. Because this is how my brain works. When I see these mistakes in papers, I'm like, oh, that's -5 points, or oh, that's 2 points, or oh, that's 20 points. Like this is just how my brain works. So please be aware. There's a breakdown of the points in this class. You can take a look at that. I'm not going to read through that. Attendance really doesn't apply. We are a fully online class. We're going to skip through that. Course withdrawal. If for some reason you're going to feel the need to withdraw from the class, contact me first. Let's talk first. You find that I'm a very compassionate, empathetic individual, and if I can help you, I will do so. Another thing with withdrawal to keep in mind is it is always better if there are just circumstances that are unavoidable and you just cannot do well or you can't complete the class. Withdraw instead of taking an F. A W on your transcript does not hurt your GPA. An F does. Sometimes there are students who just don't apply themselves in class. So I let them stay in the class. I mean, if you withdraw yourself, that's fine. I can also withdraw students. But sometimes if they just don't care. Sometimes I leave them in the class. Let them go for that F at the end. Why not? Does that sound terrible? That's my prerogative. So withdrawal is important. I don't want to see anyone withdraw. And again, like if you're having issues in life, if you've got things that are going on, maybe you're overwhelmed, reach out to me. Let's talk, right? I understand being overwhelmed. I will remind you that when I went back to school in my 30s, I was a mother of 6. I was a full-time student. I had a full-time job. I also was the business manager for our lawn care, landscape, and tree service business. So talk about a full plate. I know what that means. So please reach out to me if you have issues, if you have overwhelming things going on in your life and you just don't know how to get through this class. Talk to me. Let me know. Let me help you. Don't just disappear. Okay? So let's see. Starfish is cool. Well-being is cool. We talked about all of those things. That brings us down here to classroom etiquette. So when we are doing peer reviews, keep this in mind. Open and mutually respectful communication of varied beliefs, opinions, and perspectives during the class or online discussions encourages the free exchange of ideas, essential to higher learning and the ability to learn from each other. Also, you never know what someone else is battling on any given day. We all have good days and we all have bad days. Each one of us has a story. So just keep in mind when we are doing peer review and workshop that we need to be respectful and we need to be in consideration of one another and what might be going on outside of school as we are making our critiques. We want to be kind. So it's important. Comp 1 course schedule. Ta-da! In other words, what's going to be happening every day? So not every day, but every week of class. How this is broken down. You have several columns. Well, let's see. What does this say? Who is excited to take Comp 1? You don't have to answer. It does not go unnoted by this professor that most students dread English classes because of prior experiences with writing and or teachers. Over the first 4 weeks of class, it is my intention to address all concerns you may have and give you the tools and tricks that you can use to become a bold writer and communicator. Unit 1 is our how and why. In Unit 1, we will dive into why writing is important, formatting, that grammar is not scary, and the writing process. So we will do those things in the first 4 weeks of class. This chart is broken down. The first column is the week. Second column is the dates of the class that week. The third column are the assignments that are due at the beginning of that week, or somewhere in the middle. You will have the due dates on Blackboard. Lesson title is next, and then assignments to be completed is the final 5th column. So week 1, all items in this column are due prior to the start of that current week's lesson materials and assignments. So your assignments will be due prior to the start of the week. So just know that. Basically, I think in Blackboard, though, it's really set up like for week 2, those assignments are due 1:23 by midnight. So they're on Monday at midnight is the way I think I have it set up. So this week is the welcome introduction to Stephen King, discussion and syllabus, and the night shift choice. So your assignments are to watch this lecture. Hello, how are you? I hope you've been finding this not completely tiresome. There is a syllabus exam for you, a discussion thread, which is an introduction, and you will choose one night shift story to spend the semester with. Include why you chose the story and what video of the story did you find. And so I'll explain that a little bit more here in a bit. We're going to take a look at it we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. Next week will not open up until January the 23rd, and that will be early in the morning. It will open up and you'll be able to see the materials for next week's class. So next week, we're going to take a look at visualization and what that means. We'll be taking a look at how your paper looks, not just what's in it, but how it looks. That's so important. So we're going to take a look at MLA, how to fix spacing issues. We're going to have some fun with grammar, and there are some other things that I want to make sure that you know and are aware of. More than likely, there will be a lecture video, more than likely. Readings, you will have the readings, and those will be on Blackboard. And so you will see what those are there. Discussion thread summaries of weeks 1 and 2 lectures. So that would be the homework for next week. And let's see here. Just going on down, you can see how this rolls out. At the end of Unit 1, we will have an exam. Right? At the same time, we will be assigning the narrative essay. And the due dates are on Blackboard, the actual due dates. Then, and there is no peer review on the first essay. When we get to Unit 2, we are going to take 4 weeks to get through this material. We're going to begin talking about literary analysis in week 5. We are going to talk about editing and using checklists and rubrics in week 6. In week 7, I'm going to introduce you to how to do peer review. And week 8 is our peer review week. That will be what happens in week 8. And I will make sure that you are prepared for it before we get there. Spring break. Woo, woo. You guys are like, yay, halfway through the semester and we will have only written 2 essays. Well, that makes sense. We're doing 4. So Unit 3 begins as soon as we get back from spring break. And we will talk about rhetorical analysis. Then week 10, we will continue to talk about rhetorical analysis. And then in week 11, we will have peer review of our rhetorical analysis essay. Unit 4 begins. We are going to be writing an academic argument analysis on Stephen King. Is he a literary writer? Is he not a literary writer? By this point in the semester, you will have formed an opinion. And so we're going to write about it. And then week 13, we're going to talk about research and academic argument analysis some more. So the PowerPoint is going to spread over a couple of weeks there. Week 14, we will again do peer review. And then Unit 5. Unit 5 is my favorite, right? I love everything that we do in this class, but Unit 5 is like the culmination of all of it. In week 15, we are going to take a look at some communication skills. We're going to talk about resumes and cover letters, and we're going to try our hand at putting together a good cover letter and resume and reference combo. And those will be due that final week of class with your final exam. So that's where we're headed. That's what we're doing. The end of the semester also lays out what the different essay assignments are, or the end of the syllabus. And those, of course, will open up each week of class at the appropriate times for you, but you can read ahead in the syllabus and know what's coming. So that's our course shell and our syllabus. That's where we're going. Let's go ahead and get this PowerPoint back up. Get the screen to change. All right, let's just repeat. So why Stephen King? Sensitive material statement. Higher education fosters intellectual and personal growth through exposure to and interaction with a wide range of ideas, creative expressions, and information. Students can expect to engage with and think critically about ideas and perspectives, which may be quite different from their own, and which may be challenging or uncomfortable. Students are encouraged to discuss any questions or concerns about the course materials with their instructor. Please note that Stephen King authors a wide array of genres. This course text has drama, family and crime, science fiction, thriller, vampire fiction, and campy horror. I will lead you to stories that you feel comfortable with for the purpose of our course assignment. So Stephen King gets a bad rap because the media wants to label him a horror writer. And that's what we think of him as. We think of him as scary. And so some of us are like, avoid, avoid, avoid. Which that's just not even the truth of who he is. He doesn't even call himself a horror writer. He just writes what he's interested in. And so if you've ever seen the movie The Green Mile or Shawshank Redemption, keep in mind, he wrote both of those books. He loves supernatural stories. He loves thrillers. He likes psychological. He likes science fiction, fantasy, drama. He's very good at writing drama. He can even get a little romantic in his writing. He is talented across a wide array of genres. And so I want to encourage those of you who are feeling hesitant about Stephen King to expand yourself a little bit and have some patience here, because I'm about to go through and give you a synopsis of all of the short stories in the Night Shift collection. Oh, my nose is so itchy right now. So it looks all red too, like I'm seeing it in the video there, and I'm like, ew. But that's okay, right? It's okay. So another thing I want to tell you about Stephen King is my first introduction to him wasn't until I was in my 30s. I had avoided him completely. I wasn't interested in reading anything by him. Never saw any of his movies, except somebody forced me to watch Cujo once, and that was horrible. Ooh, someone forced me to watch Misery once, and that was horrible too. But actually not horrible. They were both well done. But then I went to my master's class one day and got my syllabus, brand new day of class, and I saw that our textbook was On Writing by Stephen King. And I went, Stephen King wrote a textbook? He did. Did you know that? You probably didn't know that. Stephen King wrote a textbook about writing, and it is called On Writing. Do you know that book changed my life? As a writer, it changed me. I love that book. I use that book to teach novel writing. It's our major textbook in novel writing because it's so well done. Stephen King is a brilliant man. He knows how to use words to make you feel, to persuade, to manipulate. He's a master communicator. That's why we're going to study him. We're going to take a look at how he writes. Not so much what he writes, but how he writes. We're going to read a short story and we're going to do a literary analysis of it. We're going to take a look at how Stephen King shares his message, because every story that's written has a message. It has a purpose. It has a theme. And you're like, ooh, I hate finding themes in stories. Yeah, I used to too, until I learned how to do it. And so we're going to take a look at how to do it in this class. We're going to find out what it is that Stephen King is trying to tell us and how he did it. It's all intentional choices on his part. Can we locate them? And we're going to learn how to find those. It's fun. I promise it's fun. And then we're going to find, and that's part of your assignment for this week, is to find the video that goes with the short story. So a movie adaptation, whether it's made by college students or it's an actual production. In the book, we have the short story Trucks, which is the movie Maximum Overdrive. We have Children of the Corn comes from this collection. So of course there's the movie Children of the Corn. We have The Lawnmower Man. It's got a movie. It's a really bad movie. But I'll talk more about all of those when I get to them. So, but anyway, he's absolutely brilliant. So we're going to do a rhetorical analysis of the video. And basically, do I like the video better or the short story better? Who did a better job, Stephen King or the producer? And you have to back that up. So see, it's your opinion and you have to back it up. See how that's a unique assignment? It is. And then the next essay on Stephen King is going to be, is he a literary writer? And you're going to use all of the materials that you have put together and compiled throughout the semester to write that essay. An argument essay based off of your opinion and what you have learned about him, the man, and the writer. I'm excited. It's always fun. I love reading these essays because I enjoy the different perspectives of students. I enjoy with that final essay. Some of you will say, yes, he's a literary writer. And some of you will say, no, he's not a literary writer. Are you kidding me? And it's fun for me. So hopefully you will enjoy it as well. But that's where we're headed. Here's a little video I want to show you. I'm going to force feed it to you right now. No, not force feed because it's fun. But this gal is going to give us a little bit of a breakdown about Stephen King. So I want to play this for you right now. I love what she has to say. She's done her research. And so let's listen to her. I'm kind of going to let somebody else prove to you that he is not as scary as the media or whoever has tried to make him out to be. So here she goes.
Hi, hello. My name is Beth, and this is Red Art, a show where I pick someone out of pop culture who creeps me out, tell you why they creep me out. Then I draw them, and I try a different technique just about every single time. This time's no exception, and ironically, I'm going to be using one of the most childish mediums with one of the most adult subjects, Stephen King. You've been asking for him, so here he is in his full creepy glory. He's actually not that creepy. He's actually like a pretty rad dude. Let me tell you a little bit more about him. A science fiction storytelling master, the legendary author of horror, the literal king of literary suspense. This American writer is prolific in many ways, and his contribution to culture is monumental. Let's get into the life and work of Stephen King. In 1947, Stephen was born to Donald and Nellie King in Portland, Maine. When he was 2, his father used the good old going to buy a pack of cigarettes line to up and leave him, his brother, and his mother to fend for themselves, and boy oh boy, it was hard. The family moved around the Midwest for a while before planting roots in Durham, Maine when King was 11. Growing up closer to poverty than comfortable took a toll on Stephen, and he described himself as an angry adolescent in full rebellion, angry at his station in life and what had put him in it. It was around that time that while digging through his attic with his older brother, he came upon the H.P. Lovecraft collection of short stories he remembers as The Lurker in the Shadows, and stated, "I knew I had found home when I read that book." He often reflects that writing saved his life many times and gave him a way to work through the frustrations he felt growing up. He was always writing as a kid, and as a teen, he won a Scholastic's Art and Writing Award, but financial success didn't come until much later. In the Vietnam War days, he was found unfit for military service due to high blood pressure, limited vision, flat feet, and punctured eardrums. It paints a picture, doesn't it? That being said, Stephen did meet his wife, Tabitha Spruce, during those years. They fell in love amongst the stacks at the Fogler Library at the University of Maine, and after marrying in 1971, they've remained together through 46 years and 3 kids. So what he lacked for in foot art, she made up for in something else, and that's probably not the territory that I should get into. Moving on, it was his wife, Tabby, who helped Stephen gain his big break. In 1973, they were living in a trailer with a toddler and a newborn, her working 2 shifts at Dunkin' Donuts and him teaching English at a private academy while working summers at an industrial launderer, while also moonlighting as a janitor and a gas pump attendant. The 2 of them barely made ends meet when King had the idea for Carrie in a daydream. He wrote a couple chapters, but then scrapped it after letting his self-doubt get to him. How could he write a story from a woman's perspective? That aside, the subject matter alone was dark enough to make anyone want to quit. Tabby ended up fishing the pages out of the trash and encouraged him to continue, helping him write by sharing her own female perspective. All at once in 1977, Carrie made him $200,000, and not only was his career finally taking off, but he was able to buy his wife an engagement ring after 6 years of marriage. So I want to talk about making things and what it takes to make them. We have this image in our heads that only through intense trauma can we make good art. Comedians are only funny because they're depressed, right? Artists are only imaginative because of their drug abuse, right? So someone like Stephen King must be disturbed. I mean, here's a man who has written in detail a scene that involves Henry, a bully in the book It, carving his name into the fat of another kid's stomach. And in another book, in Misery, he graphically describes how the psychotic Annie Wilkes first uses a hammer to crush and then an axe to completely chop off the foot of writer Paul Sheldon. Well, I have news for you. He's not disturbed. Stephen laughs when he's asked what screwed him up, and he has no memory of anything screwing him up. He's literally a well-adjusted family man living in Maine. He says he's built to give readers satisfaction, and as someone who is also lacking a life event to screw me up, I'm all for a creative path that uses audience satisfaction as a motivator. Speaking of success, King is the recipient of an astonishing number of awards, such as the Bram Stoker Award, World Fantasy Award, British Fantasy Society Award. He has the Medal for Distinguished Contribution to American Letters, and in 2015 was awarded the National Medal of Arts from the United States National Endowment of the Arts for his contribution to literature. Speaking of that contribution, he's published nearly 200 short stories, and more than 350 million copies of his 54 published novels have been sold to this date. At the end of the day, though, when asked, how do you measure your success? King replies, I measure it by how interested I still am in what I do and how committed I am to doing it. Success to King is the continued delight in bringing good stories to his readers, and for a man who can get very, very dark, to have such a lovely motivation makes me smile.
All right, I'm gonna stop it there because it's over. She goes on from there to oh, hold on, go back. Okay, I'm so frozen up again. Am I still frozen? No, I'm not frozen now. Okay, so that was a little bit of an introduction to Stephen King for you, just a little bit about his background. Isn't that fascinating? Like, that Tabby pulled, like, literally pulled his career out of the trash. Like, he started writing Carrie, and then he got a little bit into it, and he was like, what am I doing trying to write a story from the perspective of a teenage girl with issues? So he scrapped it. He threw it away. And this is back in the days of just typewriters, you guys. Like, he literally had printed some pages on his, not printed, not like in the sense that you think. He typed some pages one at a time, pulled them out. There was no copy of it anywhere. Not saved on a computer because those weren't in homes. He literally took those pages and he threw them away. And she walked by the trash can and looked down and went, huh, what's that? And picked it up and read through it and went to him and said, why did you throw this away? This is good. And so they finished it together. And it went on to make him like $200,000, which in those days was a lot of money. And he was able to buy her a wedding ring after 6 years of marriage. It's very sweet. That's one of the first things he did when he got paid. It was he went and he bought his wife a wedding ring. I love that. I love that part of the story. So there's a lot to Stephen King, a lot of amazing things. And we're going to learn more over time. So he does write in multiple genres: horror, of course, drama, fantasy, science fiction, crime drama, all of those things. So let's talk about Night Shift, our collection for this semester, the collection from which you will draw a short story. Here's a list of the stories in the book. All right. I am going to give you a brief rundown of each one right now. I want you to take a look at perhaps this slide. This slide gives you, if you hover over, there are links to each one of these where you can read about them online. But I'm going to give you just a little bit of information right now about each one of these. So Jerusalem's Lot. This is vampire fiction. Jerusalem's Lot is the prequel to the novel Salem's Lot. So Stephen King wrote the novel Salem's Lot, which is a vampire fiction novel. But Jerusalem's Lot is the prequel. And so it tells you like what was going on in that area like 200 years before Salem's Lot occurs. So it's a campy vampire fiction, right? So that's what that is. Graveyard Shift is gross. This is rats in the basement that are like man eaters and gross, just gross. No, I'm not even sad if nobody picks Graveyard Shift. I'm going, ugh. But Night Surf. Night Surf is the shortest story in the book. So I know some of you are like, what? I like that. It's the shortest story in the book. It is about a few teenagers who are wandering around in a beach town post-apocalypse. There's what's so interesting is Stephen King wrote this in the 70s. He wrote this after the Spanish flu. I think it was the Spanish flu hit the United States and the world. So he wrote it in response to a pandemic. You guys, so many of you think that this pandemic we just went through was the first pandemic. No. Read your history books. There have been many pandemics that have hit this globe. So there was one that hit late 60s, early 70s. I forget exactly what the date was. I'd have to look it up again. I looked it up last semester. I remember reading about it to the students, but my brain hasn't like, it's got the information filed away in it somewhere, but right now I'm just not like pulling it to the forefront. But it is about the pandemic that hit late 60s, early 70s. So it got Stephen thinking, what if only a few people survived? What would life be like? And so Night Surf is an afternoon or a couple of days in the life of some teenagers in this little beach town, California. Or maybe they're in Maine. No, they're not in California. They're in Maine or somewhere on the East Coast. It's kind of wild to read it. It absolutely is wild to read it because here we just came out of a pandemic, right? Certainly not to the caliber of what Stephen King wrote about here. But this is not a scary piece. This is a literally, what would life be like for you as a teenager after everyone's dead, everyone's gone, and you live with that question of, will I be next? What next? What happens then? And so it's just an interesting piece. It's a very interesting piece. It's not long. It's not scary. It's just a thinker. It's absolutely a thinker. So I'm putting that there for you. I mean, there is a little bit of a gross scene in there, but it's not, I mean, you guys watch worse stuff on video games. You watch worse stuff on Criminal Minds. Criminal Minds is much worse. CSI gets worse. Most movies on TV get worse. So Night Surf, one of my favorites in the book. I Am the Doorway. This is science fiction. This is literally an alien story where he wrote about an astronaut who goes up into space and comes back with an alien living inside of him. And the alien puts eyeballs on the guy's fingers. It's supposed to be scary, I think. But anyway. So it's science fiction. And so the guy with the alien inside of him is trying not to hurt people, but the alien wants to hurt people. And so it's this conflict inside of this man. And so it's really kind of about you dealing with your own demons, right? You know, the Mangler. So when Stephen King was first married, you know, he's finishing up college. He's starting to teach high school English. So you may not have known that about him. He was a high school English teacher, was his first like actual career job. But he also worked at an industrial laundromat. And so he spent a lot of time in an industrial laundromat. And so from that experience came the Mangler story. This is literally about an industrial washing machine that comes to life and starts eating people. This is campy horror. So, but that's where it comes from. It comes from his boredom working in an industrial laundromat and on the weekends. The Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is a psychological thriller. This is about a father who, over a period of time, has 3 children, but each child mysteriously dies before the next one is born. And so he goes to a therapist, and the story is about him and his therapist. And honestly, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight before you read it. You get to the end and you still don't know who the bad guy is. Like, Stephen King's really good at that. He's really good at bringing you all the way into the story, and you're sitting there going, who did it? He wants you to think about it. He wants you to draw your own conclusion, come up with your own ending. So the Boogeyman is a psychological thriller. It's going to kind of, it kind of wants to mess with your mind a little bit, make you think. Gray Matter is straight up a story about alcoholism. It's gross. I'll just tell you, it's gross. This guy, his dad is an alcoholic, severe alcoholic, and his dad is literally turning into a gray blob. And it's really, it's a hard story. It's a sad story. But we have to keep in mind that Stephen King has struggled with addiction in his life. And so this is something that's it's an important topic to him. It's an important topic to him. So he wrote this gross story, but really alcoholism is gross. So when you look at it that way, it is gross. And so a gross story about it is not inappropriate. So that's what Gray Matter is. Battleground. If you loved Toy Story when you were a kid, you might enjoy reading Battleground because it takes it to a new level. So there's an assassin who kills a toy maker, and a package shows up at the assassin's house from the toy maker's mother. And it's full of toy soldiers who are alive. And so the toy soldiers and the assassin go to battle in the assassin's apartment. So that's a fun one. It is a fun piece. Yeah, enjoy that. It's good. Battleground. Now, Trucks is just stupid. Trucks is, if you like campy, if you like ridiculous, like maybe this could be true, but it's kind of centered around a diner, like a truck stop diner, and the trucks all come to life and try to take over the world and make humans their slaves. And there's a movie made of this, and it's called Maximum Overdrive, and both are silly. So if you like that kind of science fiction where AI takes over, that one's for you. Trucks is for you. Sometimes they come back. This is another psychological thriller. This is about a high school English teacher who many years before had lost his brother to a gang of bullies. Well, this is a supernatural story. This isn't just a psychological thriller. This is more of a supernatural ghost story, paranormal. So these bullies begin to show up in his classroom. They're long dead. They are ghosts. And they begin to show up in his classroom. And so he, through paranormal means, supernatural means, figures out how he can get rid of them and beat them instead of them getting him like they got his brother. So that's sometimes they come back. Then we have Strawberry Spring. Oh, I love Strawberry Spring. It's one of my favorites. So this is a crime drama, and it's beautiful. It's beautifully written. All of his writing is actually beautiful. If you look at the mechanics of the language and the choices and just the way he puts description together, like it's just like, what? If you really take it pieces at a time and you look at the way he puts words together to draw you in, it's mind-blowing. But anyway, that's for Literary Analysis Week. So Strawberry Spring is set on a college campus in New England, and it is set in like March. in New England. And so there is a weather phenomenon called the strawberry spring. And what that means is there's still a major cold snap coming, but you're experiencing a period of warm weather. And so the air from the ocean mixes with the air coming down from the north, and it creates this deep, intense fog over this town. And in that deep, intense fog, there are some murders that occur on the college campus. This is not a gory story. This is just, here's how she was found. Right? So it doesn't go into graphic detail, and you're not there when the event is happening. It's like a reporter is telling it. It's a guy who was on campus when these things happened, recounting the events. And so through the Strawberry Spring, there's several murders that occur, and I don't want to give away too much of the story, but this is another one of those when you get to the end of it, you're going, and I love it. I love it. It's so beautiful piece. So if you are one of the students who's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to read Stephen King, that's so scary, look at Strawberry Spring. Read Strawberry Spring, read Night Surf, Battleground. And then another one for you to read would be The Man Who Loved Flowers, but I'll talk about it in a minute, or The Last Rung on the Ladder, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But The Ledge. The Ledge is a story about adultery. And so this is about a guy who's having an affair with a mob boss's wife. And the mob boss finds out and basically tells him, if you can walk the ledge of the skyscraper without falling off, I'll let you live. And so it's really the centers in the conversation that they're having while this is happening, because of course the mob boss is up there watching him walk the ledge. So it's intense. It's intense. The Lawnmower Man is campy science fiction. Lawnmower comes to life and wants to eat people. Somebody tried to make a movie of it. Not my thing. Maybe you like crazy science fiction that has B movies made of it. Then if you do, that's for you. Quitter's Inc. Quitter's Inc. is another story about addiction. This is a guy who wants to quit smoking. And so he goes to this company called Quitters Inc. and they guarantee to help you quit smoking. Only if you slip up, there are consequences. So it's not a scary piece, but I would say it is a thriller. And it's kind of like, the consequences are a little bit like, oh my God. But again, you watch worse things on TV and in video games. I know you do. I have teenagers. Okay. Lawnmower Man. Okay. Quitters Inc. I know what you need. I know what you need is a psychological thriller. This is about a guy who loves a girl, but like obsessively loves this girl. And so he's able to, through supernatural means, know her and always provide for her in a way that makes her just love him. But her best friend is like, something's fishy here. And so the best friend finds out some things about this fellow and everything begins to unravel. So I like to tell students, if you ever watch that TV show, this is kind of you-like, right? So if you like that kind of thing, you might want to read I Know What You Need. And then there's Children of the Corn, which I don't think that really needs any introduction, but this is a married couple is having trouble in their marriage. And so they take a drive across the country to spend some time together. And they end up in this little town in Nebraska, stopping in this little town in Nebraska. They discover there are no adults. There are only children in this town, and things take a drastic turn for bad. The children of the town have been, possessed by a deity that is evil. And it's a story about religion. It is Stephen King's take on religion. And so you really have to think. You have to think about Stephen King's past, Stephen King's opinions. You have to look those things up and know about them to then look at the Children of the Corn story and go, oh, I get it. So, of course, that one has a major picture or a major movie that's fairly familiar. Most of us know the term Children of the Corn. The Last Rung on the Ladder. This is a family drama. This is about a brother and a sister. And the idea here is you don't know what you got until it's gone. Don't take each other for granted. It's a very emotional piece. A very emotional piece. So if you like family dramas, if you are stuck on Lifetime channel or the Hallmark channel and you like to cry, some people like to cry. They will read books that make them cry. They will watch shows that make them cry on purpose. Now, me, I tend to avoid those things like the plague because there's enough things in life to cry about, my opinion. However, there are people out there, and maybe you're one and there's nothing wrong with it if you are, who likes to read and watch sad things. The last rung on the ladder would be for you. It's very emotional. It's about a brother and a sister and how you should not take each other for granted. The Man Who Loved Flowers. Here is my ultimate favorite. My ultimate favorite. So if you want to read one that is not scary at all, that's just downright beautiful, but has a twist in it that makes you go, oh, it's a crime drama. I love it. It's just beautiful. I used to read this out loud to every class I taught, and especially when I was working at the trade school and I had entire classroom fulls of men, and I'd be like, I'm going to read this Stephen King short story to you, and they'd all be like, yeah, and then I'd start reading it, and it's all very romantic and very beautiful, and it's just like, and they're all like, what are you reading? Like, why are you reading us this romance story? You said this was Stephen King. And then I get to that part and they all go, oh, it's the best. I love that piece. I absolutely love that piece. And I think I'm going to have you, I think that you will be reading it specifically because there are some teaching points for grammar that come specifically from that story and its structure. One for the Road is the so prequel and then sequel. One for the Road is the sequel to Salem's Lot. So it goes Jerusalem's Lot, Salem's Lot, One for the Road. Vampire fiction again. So it kind of is a wrap up to let you know that it's not over. You think it's over in Salem's Lot, but it's not over. And I've got to look something up because I don't remember what it's called. Let's see, Stephen King show. I got to find the name of this new series. It's not that one. Okay, maybe not Netflix. Yeah, show vampires. Oh, why is this going to be so hard for me to find? Maybe I need to look it up. I wish I could remember off the top of my head what it is. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm sorry. Okay, so it's starring, oh, I can't even remember that right now. Adrian Brody. Adrian Brody series. Chapelwaite. It's Chapelwaite. Chapelwaite is an American horror television series based on the short story Jerusalem's Lot. So if you want to read Jerusalem's Lot, you could watch Chapelwaite. It's a wonderful series by American writer Stephen King. So it was released in 2021. It is Adrian Brody is the main character, but that is based on Jerusalem's Lot, Salem's Lot, One for the Road. That's that whole storyline. So I'm just saying, that got me real excited, didn't it? That's Chapelwaite. So yeah, cool stuff. And then we have The Woman in the Room. And The Woman in the Room is another family drama. This is about a young man whose mother is terminally ill. She's not going to get better. And he's struggling with euthanasia. He's struggling with, does he just help her die? And if you learn about Stephen King's life, you learn that Stephen King was put in a very similar situation. And he had to struggle with that himself. So So you wrote a story about it. And that's what authors tend to do. Authors tend to write stories that in some way mimic their lives. So mimic things they see, mimic things that they go through. You can find the author inside every story, but you have to know about the author in order to do that. And we're going to talk about that with literary analysis. And so see, I'm giving you a little bit of a preview there, but you have to know about the writer or the producer before you can analyze what they've produced or what they've written. It's just kind of the way it goes if you want to be effective in understanding a message inside of something. So that's your breakdown of those stories. I hope that's helpful because I want you to be able to pick the one that you want to spend some time with, because you'll be doing 2 essays on that story. So with the story that you choose, you'll want to not just pick the story, you want to find a movie made of it as well. So like I said, some of these have major pictures, some of them have college student productions done and they're on YouTube. You can go to the links there with each one, follow the links for the web, for the internet. Some of them are a little harder to find a movie of. Do not pick a commentary of the video. I will count that wrong. It has to be a movie of the video. Don't pick a trailer of the video. Pick a movie adaptation, whether the movie is 10 minutes long or 2 hours long or a whole mini series. Movie adaptation. So that's going to be very important. You have to have both the short story chosen, the why that short story, and then a video of that short story. And they exist. They're out there. Some of them you have to look a lot harder for, but some you don't. So The Man Who Loved Flowers, there it is. We're not going to take the time to read that right now because I realize I have been talking for a long time and you're probably going, holy cow. But read The Man Who Loved Flowers. Read it. I mean, I want you to dig into a lot of those and experience them to pick the one that you are going to want to spend some time with. But definitely read The Man Who Loved Flowers. The syllabus we've already discussed. So I think that brings us to the end of the PowerPoint. So we can go ahead and do stop share. We're getting close to being done. Yay. And you guys are like, woo, wow. So make sure that you get on to week 1 and that you complete the work and you've watched this video, which is kind of funny at the end of the video to tell you to watch the video. But do the work that's there for you, the discussion thread and the night shift choice. And then next week's information will open up. I think next week there will be a video lecture. If there's not, go through the PowerPoint. That's how we do this. All right. Again, text me if you have any questions whatsoever. And I hope you're excited about this journey. It's going to be fun. I promise it's going to be fun. You're going to learn things and we're going to have a good time. I sure wish we were going to be in person, but we're not. So I'll do my best to stay on top of the grading, to answer your questions quickly, and to guide you through the process. So I'll let you go.